Very good. Wow. Yeah, one of the things I want to unpack, right? Like whenever we going through life throws us a curveball, right? And a lot of time it wakes us up. And in your case, it gave you the level of commitment that that you needed to go all in on this. And so yeah, it's unfortunate, but I'm glad that you're all healthy now. And so that's great. So you have another 50 plus years.
No, I'm too old to get 50 years, but I tell you one thing though, I'm actually grateful for it. I don't have any regrets, which I know is a weird thing. And you got to understand my experience with cancer, I caught it so early. I did get through a chemo ward, but I didn't lose my hair. I wasn't getting sick. I wasn't going through the hell that 99% of people go through with it. So I was blessed to be very lucky. And I had a friend of mine said, "Oh, you seem like you have so much gratitude now. Where did you get this gratitude from?" And I said, here's what gratitude is. Gratitude is sitting in the chemo ward, waiting for your infusion and looking around and being the healthiest person sitting in the waiting room. That's gratitude. So that helped me. And I needed that. I always thought I was lucky. And I just was, okay, I just got lucky until my luck ran out. And then I got a lot of gratitude. And also my mindset is don't put things off and be spectacular and try to be the best person you can be. And I was really coasting for years, for many years, just coasting along. And if you're coasting and you're not doing anything, you're going downhill. It's like a bicycle. People don't realize I'm coasting and I'm going faster. You have to be going downhill. So I had to have that experience to get me where I was at. And it's a big part of my makeup now. And I'm grateful for it. And I wouldn't be here if I hadn't gotten sick. I don't think I would have dove into it the way that I did.
Yep. One of those life-changing moments for sure. Now let's talk about when you first started and you wanted to be an operator, sourcing your own deals and all of that. It's something that I often recommend against for new people coming into the business. A lot of people don't realize, come in, they get all excited. They attended these seminars, and the seminars teach you how to find deals and underwrite deals and all of that good stuff.
Yep.
But you don't realize how difficult that process is, especially when you're starting new. And so let's talk a little bit about that, David, just to give people, especially some of the people new that might thinking, hey, finding my first deal, finding that deal and being the lead GP on that deal is what I want to do. Share with us some of the challenges that you went through on that deal so that people can have a lookout for, okay, what are some of the things that can go wrong in a deal?
And I didn't know you back then, Tim. So if I had known you, I probably wouldn't have made some of the mistakes I made. But for me, it was like I was told and I wasn't really a part of any big mentoring group at that time. So I don't want to blame mentoring groups for my journey. But I basically thought I could figure this out. I could do it myself. And one positive aspect of it was that I did try to learn everything. So I've got a really good, I spent a year of like intense study, 8 hours a day, podcasts, reading books, doing everything I can. So I learned how to, I thought I was going to do everything. So I learned how to underwrite. I learned how to do due diligence on deals and analyze deals. And I was doing a lot of that. And it really helps me now in my capital raising because I look at like when I'm vetting an operator or vetting a deal, I look at it as like I'm buying the property. So my mindset on that's a little bit different than most people. So it helped me vet the deal a lot better. Another positive thing was losing money and losing a substantial amount of money. I know what it's like to lose money. So it sucks. And I've already been through that on one of my own deals. And so it made me more careful, more cautious, more empathetic, and not having that. So it was a real difficult thing. Another thing that happened is when the deal, I decided to walk on it. And it was voluntary. I could have kept it going, but it seemed like time and effort and money, it was throwing good things after bad, and I'd lost my stomach for it. When I did that, I didn't get totally down. I was like, I've got to bounce back from this. My wife had left her job. I couldn't grab a bottle of whiskey and start playing blues records. I had to get out there and make something happen. And that was one of the things with my wife. I said, look, I think I'm good at raising money. And I said, if we continue on with this deal, it's a black hole for months. But I said, if we walk now, I'm going to lose this money. But if I can go out and raise $1 million on another deal, I can make the money back in 90 days and we'll be back to even again. And then we go from there. And I didn't know it was going to work out that way at the time, but that's exactly how it worked out. Losing money, learning how to underwrite, trying to be an operator, it was good for learning all the skills. And I had to blow up to know what I was better at. And at some point, I may go out and buy my own deal in the future. I don't know if I'll never do that, but right now, the capital raising, it's really nice. I'm always sitting in the air conditioning. I'm not at the properties. I'm not dealing with construction people and getting dirty. I like what I do. It's fun. And really, this is the enjoyable part between the contract and the close is what I did when I was a mortgage guy and a real estate guy. And that's pretty much what I do now. And if you're a fund manager, other than managing your clients and your investor relations, that's what you're doing. You're in the fun part of the deal. There's the middle part of the deal, the operations. That's not the fun part of the deal. And then there's the exit. That's the really fun part of the deal. And you get to participate in the fun part at the front and the fun part at the back. And you skip all the stuff in the middle that are bad. I like that.
I like that. And I like how you relating it to the mortgage business of getting in the deal from the contract to the closing. That's I never thought of it that way, but that makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense.
These
And yet,
people applying for mortgages would show up and they're your best friend for like 30 days. And then they get their $400,000 wired in. And they're here for these people for 8 years. I made no friends. No, they just disappear. They call you again when they need you. And also, too, as a capital raiser, if you raise money for someone's deal and they don't, sometimes you're not going to get a big pat on the back, especially if it depends on the operator. I was talking to someone that one day and they said, what's like being a capital raiser? And I said, we're kind of like the one night stands of the business or whatever. People call you, they need you so bad, they need everything. And then once they get what they need, they disappear. And then 6 months later, they may call you and, hey, we need you back again. So you just have to have that kind of attitude and understand that some operators, you're a necessary means to an end. You don't take it personally if you're not chummy on the whole deal. It just doesn't work like that a lot of times.
yeah, exactly. And I want to go back a little bit of your analogy of the mortgage business going from the contract phase to the closing phase. A lot of people coming into the business don't know how much time and risk that it takes from the sourcing of the deal to the contract phase and then to the closing phase. And so that's why when you're starting new, I highly recommend start as a capital raiser. Your life will be a lot easier, a lot simpler. You won't risk as much time nor money, especially if you're going to be working with a lot of experience. They have a whole team sourcing a bunch of deals. They made plenty of money. So if they lose some money on earnest money, it's not a big deal for them. And so you get to benefit from all of that hard work, all of that resources, and jump straight to being part of the deal from the contract phase to the closing phase of it. Now, like David was saying, once you do some of these and in the future, if you decide to still want to source your own deals and operate the deals yourself, by that time, you'll have a lot more experience, you have a lot more resources to take on that risk.
Like you said, though, they've got a team looking and they're looking for deals, talking to brokers, they're underwriting it. Then they get it under contract and they're starting to do diligence. And that's usually when you get the call. And there's so much blood, sweat, and tears that goes there to
Yep.
get to the point, and you didn't have to do it. And so
Yep.
once I stopped doing that, my life was so easy. Everybody just sends me deals, and I've got to sort through them and figure out, okay, what do I want to work on the next 60 to 90 days? That is so much simpler. And when you're focused on doing one thing, like I don't have to know how to do everything. And also, I don't have to coordinate a team. Really, I might have an assistant at some point or a VA or whatever, but really, I can do it with me and my wife, really just individually. I don't have to build up this huge operation. And I respect people that do that, but it's my choice if I want to scale that up or not. I can really do it with one or two people.
Yeah, I agree. And what I love most about being a capital raiser, if you look at the different aspects of the business, the person who sources the deals, the person who underwrites the deal, the person who does the asset management, the person who raised capital, to me, the capital raising skill set is the most leverageable skill set in that equation. And when I say leverageable, it's the one part of the business that you do the work once to build that relationship with an investor. And that one time work, there's ongoing nurturing of that relationship. But once that relationship is established and you do a good job, that's a lifetime worth of business that you can have with that investor. Not only is it their lifetime as they invest with you, but their referrals that comes from those investors. And maybe even after they pass away and their kids end up investing with you, right? Through their family office and such. And so it's hard to find another part of the business that level of repeatable business, I guess, from one relationship. And so that's why I love the capital raising aspect of the business.
And also, too, when I had that first 296 unit that I looked at that deal, I was like, wow, this is a really amazing deal. And that was an epiphany for me that if you're getting started out and you're trying to buy a 50 or 100 unit yourself and you have no track record, there are 50 people that looked at that deal before it got down to you
Mm.
from the broker, unless you go direct to owner and you just stumble upon something. So the top operators, they're getting better deals. They're better underwriters. And also, no matter how good you think you are or how smart you think you are, a guy that's gone through 2 or 3 deal cycles and been doing it 10 years, he's a lot better than you. He's like an NFL player and you're like on the JV team in high school. It's that level of difference. So if you think you can figure out along the way, you probably will be able to. But realize, like investor money, if you're raising money, not doing your own, it's a whole lot safer with a pro that's been through a deal cycle than a rookie. I don't care how good or how smart you are as a rookie, you're not that good.